Verification of agenda posting, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, the agenda was posted on Monday, May 22nd, 2017 at 10:05 a.m.
Okay, we'll have the pledge of allegiance. Gabriel, would you lead us? Awesome.
Yes, Commissioner Chris Alvarez.
Here.
Commissioner David Huboy.
Here.
Commissioner Gabriel Torres. Madam Chair Carolyn Orr.
Present.
And I will note that Commissioner Rosa is absent. He had a work engagement and was not able to attend tonight.
And for the sake of CMAP, does everybody have their microphones on?
Yes.
Okay. We have submitted 4 minutes. April 27th. Do we have any changes or comments? No, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 27th, 2017. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Communications from the public not listed on the agenda. Here's a time when we have for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda, but within the subject matter of the Planning Commission. When the Planning Commission calls your name, please come to the podium and state your name for the record and speak to the Commission. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Please note that state law prohibits the Planning Commission from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any comment?
We do not, Madam Chair.
We do not, okay. So we will go right into public hearings. Our first public hearing is tentative map 2016-5 and conditional use permit for a planned unit development 2017-3, site and architectural review 2016-13 for Valles and Associates LLC, requesting tentative map and a conditional use permit for a planned unit development. Okay, make it down. Architectural, site and architectural for 15 lots for single family homes, 26 lots for townhomes, 1 lot for 44 apartment unit, and 1 lot for road and common space, for a total of 43 lots on a 5.45 acre site, which currently contains 1 building. Let's see, proposed to be demolished to make way for the new residential subdivision. The property is located in NMU Neighborhood Mixed Use Zoning District. It's located at 1603 Cushman Street. And we have a CEQA of mitigated negative declaration. Then we have the staff report?
Sure, Madam Chair. Yes, as you mentioned, the applicant is requesting approval to subdivide a 5.45 acre site into 43 lots consisting of 15 single-family homes, 26 townhomes, and 44 apartments at 1603 Cushman Street. The property previously gained site and architectural approval by the Planning Commission for 50 apartment units, if you recall, in December of 2013. The apartments were located more towards the south, more adjacent to the existing, backing into the existing single-family homes on Belado. And with this application, the site and architectural aspect of this application would actually relocate that approval the apartments more to the north. Just a little bit of background: the apartments have been submitted to the City of Hollister building department. They're under review at this time, but the applicant has come in to modify the project to include single-family homes, and we thought that for better neighborhood aesthetics, that the single-family homes should actually back into the existing single-family homes instead of the apartments, and then transition, have the apartments more towards the north, the townhomes, as well as a new proposal with this project, 26 townhomes, and have those also more towards the north, and have the single-family homes more towards Cushman Street and backing into the existing single-family homes on Belado. The lots along Cushman Street and Belado are actually a little bit smaller than our standard 5,500 square foot lots that we have in the City of Hollister. They're more at about a little bit over 3,000 square feet. The interesting part here is that the homes along Cushman Street are going to be fronting just the home, the frontage of it are going to be fronting Cushman. the garages are going to be located into the interior part. So just the facade, the windows, the doors are going to be fronting Cushman for aesthetic purposes. And along Bellato, along the homes backing into Bellato, the actual homes are going to be with the garages in the front. And we have a slide here of the garages, the homes with the garages for the homes that are going to be backing into Bellato, as you can see in the front and your screen and also in your plans. And then these 4 different examples, and then also the homes that are going to be facing Cushman are here. The top part are the actual frontage of the homes, and the bottom part are the back of the homes that are going to be in the interior. And the applicant proposed that for blending it into the neighborhood with the existing single-family homes that have been there for many years already. Let's see. The townhomes, lots 16 through 41 on the tentative map are proposed as townhomes and will be located north and east of the proposed single-family homes. The townhomes will face the common front yard proposed between the townhomes and have the garages behind the units. These are 0 walls, 0 foot setbacks. And the townhomes will be 3 stories tall and measure 35 feet and 4 inches to the top of the roof. We're getting a 3-story product here. They're going to be more into the interior. One of the main things that the City of Hollister Planning Department looks for is that they meet the minimum density requirements to meet our housing element and to provide a new stock into the city, different types of residential stock into the city. And so, yes, they are going 3 stories tall, but they are meeting the minimum density requirements of 35 dwelling units per acre. Neighborhood mixed use allows up to 35, but they are meeting the 25, which is it could be a challenge of its own, but they are doing it with 3 stories, and the 3 stories are going to be tucked in inside the interior of the site and not along the existing single-family homes. The first floor plan, there's going to be 2 different floor plans for the townhomes. The floor plan, the first floor plan will include a 2-car garage at the very bottom, and then with the washer and dryer outlet and space for garbage and recycled tots on the first floor. The second floor will have a 1-bedroom, a kitchen with a dining room, a living room, and a covered porch to the outside for private open space. And the third floor will have 2 bedrooms, including the master bedroom, 2 bathrooms, and an 8-foot by 10 feet, 81.6 square foot covered porch to the outside to allow for private open space as well. Floor plan number 2 will have a 1-car garage with a foyer, a den, and a 1 bathroom with a toilet and a sink, and an outside patio on the first floor. The second floor will consist of a kitchen, a dining room, a living room, and a balcony. And the third floor will consist of 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Each townhouse unit will also have a 2-vehicle driveway. The landscaping of the townhomes. The landscaping will consist of western redbud trees, crepe myrtle trees, Catalina ironwood trees, Canary Island pine trees, Chinese pistache trees, London plane trees, flowering plum trees, evergreen pear tree, and a variety of shrubs, perennials, grasses, turf area, and ground cover. As a condition of approval, the project would need to apply and obtain approval of the City of Hollister's efficient landscape application per Title 15 of the Hollister Municipal Code. We've been working with Sean Novak at the San Bernardino County Water Resources Association to make sure that all of the landscaping meets state requirements, drought-tolerant plants, and low water efficient landscape requirements. The apartments, as mentioned earlier, Madam Chair and Commission, have been approved previously. As you can see, that's Building A of one of the elevations of the buildings. They're all going to be 2 stories actually, and it will make the change from 50 apartment units that were previously approved to 44, and this is to make way for the additional 26 townhomes and the additional 15 single-family small lots to create a diversity of residential units in the city of Hollister. This is Building A. As you can see, they have a tile roof, have a nice balcony with tubular steel and masonry or sorry. This is Building B, the other building on the site for the apartments. And Building C as well. The City of Hollister General Plan Land Use Policy 8.3 is listed to ensure that new development in neighborhoods supports rather than detracts from the existing residential character of the area. And sometimes it could be challenging, especially when it comes to infill development, such as this law. And we feel that the applicant has worked with the City of Hollister to try its best to transition the new higher density, and especially it could be challenging when the existing density is one zoning district, as it is with the single-family homes, and the infill law is a neighborhood mixed use, which is the highest of our densities, and the applicant tried worked their best to try to transition it in the best way possible, and we summarize that transition in four ways. One, as mentioned, the single-family homes will abut the rear yards of the existing single-family homes on Bellato Street. Two, the townhomes and the apartments will be located north and east of the proposed single-family homes. Three, the proposed single-family homes along Cushman Street will face the existing single-family homes on Cushman Street and will have the garages on the back with vehicular access on the interior road. And the proposed homes along Cushman Street will have residential facades with windows and decorative patios that face Cushman Street instead of a residential rear yard fence, which would be a lot less attractive. And four, the buildings have been oriented to conceal the view of the off-street parking areas to residents on Cushman Street. As mentioned, the neighborhood mixed-use zoning district allows for a density of 25 to 35 units per net acre. The project consists of 15 lots for single-family homes, 26 townhomes, and 44 apartments within 5.45 acres. The net acre calculation is 25 units per net acre. On April 18, 2005, the City of Hollister City Council adopted Resolution number 2005-55, and that was to approve a mitigated negative declaration that was prepared for a minor subdivision that was done at that time for the whole area, for the whole 7.4 acres. And the potentially significant effects identified in the adopted mitigated negative declaration have been reduced to a less than significant level with mitigation measures incorporated. The mitigated negative declaration identified 8 potential significant impacts that could be reduced to a less than significant level with the incorporation of mitigation measures for aesthetics, air quality, geology, soils, hydrology, water quality, noise, public services, transportation, and utility and service systems. These mitigation measures are incorporated into the resolutions, and they are also part of the attached resolutions. Per section 1718.060, multifamily housing requires 1.5 space per of parking per 1 or 2 bedroom units, and 2 spaces of parking spaces for 3 or more bedroom units. These are all going to be 1 and 2 bedroom units, apartments, and so doing the calculation, the apartments would require 66 parking spaces for the residential units. That's 1.5 parking spaces per 44 units, and also 11 parking spaces for guest parking for a total of 78. The applicant has proposed 85 parking spaces for the apartments, which meets and exceeds the parking requirements. Benefits from the residential development include the full utilization and improvement to an underutilized site identified in the city's general plan as vacant land inventory, and infill development strategy, priority infill. The residential development would provide a mix of housing types to serve the housing need of the city of Hollister, consistent with the general plan. The applicant is required, to the extent authorized by law, that any new development of the site to pay into its prorated share of the cost of a traffic signal at or near the intersection of Cushman Street and Nash Road, or Rancho Drive and Tres Pinos Road, should the city determine at any time prior to such development that a traffic signal is warranted or necessary. With the adoption of the complete streets plan, a roundabout may be constructed in lieu of the signal. The proposed residential subdivision complies with all the conditions upon which approval is made contingent and designed to be compatible with adjoining residential land uses. Staff would like to bring your attention to page 11 of 21 of the tentative map resolution. This is tentative map resolution. There's three resolutions. One's for the tentative map, one's for the plan unit development, and the other one's for the set and architectural. But for the tentative map, page 11 of 21, there are three conditions. One, condition number 31 on page 11, which indicates that public utilities and tree planting easements, the subdivider should dedicate a 6-foot public utility easement and instead of a 10-foot tree planting and maintenance easement, staff would recommend a change from 10 to 6, only because the frontage of the lots are actually going to be a 10-foot setback from Cushman because of the small lot size. And so instead of 10, we would like to change that to 6. Same thing with the condition number 32. The subdivider should dedicate, instead of a 10-foot, be a 6-foot public utility easement and sidewalk easement along all street frontages or as approved by the city engineer. Condition number 35, the applicant shall be required to dedicate any right-of-way and easements necessary along, and the street should not be North Street, should be Cushman Street, to provide for ultimate improvement of the roadway. As part of the subdivision that was done a few years back, these have already been dedicated, and so the condition standard, it's there. However, it has already been dedicated along Cushman and along Nash, but this is a standard condition that we have. On this one, we just want to change the name. There's a new condition that we would like to add, but before we go into a new condition, number 63 is actually an existing condition. We just want to add additional verbiage. The condition number 63 indicates pedestrian egress. It says, prior to final map approval, the final map should indicate a pedestrian egress access to the adjacent Belisara subdivision to the east for pedestrian egress connectivity. Belisara is the subdivision that's to the east, that's currently being developed right now, small lots as well along the southern boundary, and there's courtyard units also in between. That's Mr. Ted Trevilla worked on that project, and it's currently under construction. And so we would like to add also, and with the existing commercial development to the east, in the event that an agreement and location for the pedestrian access is determined. So staff is going to work with the both Ted and Trevilla and the other the existing commercial site to see if we can come to an agreement to have those pedestrian access connect. And with the new condition number 65, essentially it indicates if lane alignment and curb-to-curb dimensions along Cushman Street allows for sidewalk bulb outs, the applicant shall be required to improve the driveways at Andrews Drive and Bundelson Drive into the subdivision with bulb outs per the City of Hollister engineering standards. And just so if you allow me to, Madam Chair and Commission, the site layout, as you can see here, the Cushman Street is located along the west of the project site, and the two driveways, one along Andrews Drive, aligning with the Andrews, and the other aligning with Bundenson. Basically, if it allows for bulb outs at the entrance, then the city will require them, and that's just a new condition that we would also like to add, and was discussed with the applicant prior to.
That was 65, correct?
That was 65.
So you're adding 63 and 65.
He's amending 63. He's adding
Amending
that part.
63 and adding 65.
And he's adding 65.
Okay.
What is it? 64, I think. Yeah, I had a new condition under 63. Commissioner Hewitt, that's probably why you indicated that we're adding 63, but that
You're only adding one condition.
we're only adding 65.
He's adding one and he's amending 4
Yes.
on the total thing.
31, 32, 35, 63.
And finally, under the resolution for site and architectural, the only thing there is that we have stormwater requirements. Conditions 22 through 29 are state mandated stormwater requirements by the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and those were in as part of conditions 22 and 29 through 29, and also from 30 through 27. So we just want to make sure that we delete one of those sets, 22 to 29, and keep the other. But
Oh, you had a duplication?
we had duplication
Oh, yeah.
on those, and
22, I didn't notice that. 22 to 29?
yes,
So you just want to delete,
we just want to delete one of those
what's
sets.
30 to 27? Do you
The-
mean 30 to 37?
30 to 37.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
So either one of those groups.
Correct. We can delete the 22 to 29.
So I think it would make sense to do the second group, 30 to 37,
That's
when we
fine.
get there.
That's fine. There's state water requirements that stormwater requirements that have to be met.
Okay?
Yes. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and approve first the conditional use permit number 2017-3 for a plan unit development, number 2 tentative map number 2016-5, and number 3 site and architectural review number 2016-13, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
I do have a question. Was there a color palette submitted with the application?
The color palette was not submitted with the application, Commissioner Huboy, but that's part of the that is a condition of approval that is submitted to the planning department for review and approval prior to the applicant obtaining building permits, if so approved by the planning commission.
Anybody?
The other, before, after the public hearing, some further discussion,
Yeah.
but on the units that flank Cushman, you have two different types of those single-family detached. You have type A, type B.
Yes.
Is it clear on which type floor plans they are? I guess, or maybe it wouldn't really
Yes, there
make
are.
that much difference, but
There are one essentially. There's two types for the single family homes on the project site, and one type is for those that are along Cushman, and the other type is for those that are along the existing rear yards of the existing homes on Bellado. And the ones that are along Cushman, the main difference is that the ones that are along Cushman are the ones in front of you on the screen, Commissioner Huboy,
okay.
that have the frontage facing Cushman, and the garages facing the interior.
So the one that's on the screen, just for purposes of when we're talking about it, which type would that be?
That one's going to be. I have it right here.
Let's see.
It's under the plan unit development
There's floor plan
resolution.
B. I think that's floor plan B. That's floor plan B. That's type B.
That one
That's
is.
type B.
Mhm.
Okay. Just
Which one's
for
type
purposes of discussion,
Sure.
that is type B.
This one?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I guess I'll open the public hearing, and I do have a couple of questions. So we'll open the public hearing at 6:36. Do we have any speakers? Okay.
Richard Ferreira.
Richard Ferrer, I live 31 Union Heights Drive. I own a commercial property just to the north of this on Trespinas Road. This is a great project. Just looking at it, it's a great project. They've mitigated most of the problems. They made it an easy transition there, facing the existing houses, and loading the garages in the interior is a great idea. And one of the best things about this is the added apartments. As you know, rental vacancy is almost zero here in Hollister, and this is something that's great needed. It's an infill project, can't be any better than that. And so I hope you people look at this and approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
Anna?
Ann Hall with Samity New Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant to answer any questions you might have.
Ann, what's the developers, do you know his plans for the Gold Gym building?
I do not.
Okay. So then I'll wait till we close the public hearing. I have questions on the extension of Rancho. I want to talk traffic, so we'll close the public hearing then, unless you're going to be addressing, you don't know what he's going to do, so it doesn't line up with the Rancho Drive extension that they talked about many years ago. It was a heated discussion in the office when I was in there, because I want the light at the signal at Cushman. And now that I see the plan, it's all coming out to Cushman, and it's not coming off of Trespinos, and it's not coming punching through Rancho, which I thought it might. Some of it would go this way, but it's all going this way onto Cushman. So that I'm gonna see what the city thinks about that. But because if Gold Gym stays, you can't punch Rancho through, and it doesn't, unless they're gonna offset it. But we'll talk to David about that. That's all the comments I have for you.
No problem.
Anybody else have a question for Ann? Okay, thank you, Ann. Any other speakers?
No further speaker
Okay.
cards, Madam Chair.
And then we'll close the public hearing at 6:30 and bring it back to the commission.
I do have some comments. There's things I like about the project. I like the way the garages are turned inward from the main street. I like the apartments. The one concern that I do have, though, is on the Type B unit. When you're going north on Cushman, you're going to see the left side. So if you go to the elevations, and I can understand when you have houses next to each other, you have privacy issues. But let's go to floor plan B. That's floor plan A.
He wants to look at lot 28 and lot 29. The side yards. Yeah.
Side yards of 28 and 29. Are those the ones that are?
Is that what you want?
It would be 10, sheet 10, page 10.
Yeah, but I mean on the site you want those two lots on the corner, right? That are showing the side yard?
Yeah, well, the one that's on the end.
He's trying to determine which lot. Is that what you want? You want to know what these side
No,
yards are going
this
to...
one here, when you're right.
Oh, this one
Yeah,
here?
this one here. It would be lot.
The very first lot on
The very
Cushman.
first
This most
lot,
southerly
that'd be
lot.
the Type B
Yeah.
unit, which
Okay.
would,
Lot number 1?
yes. Now, if you go to the elevations of floor plan B,
Okay.
There's a home right here.
okay.
Mm.
Well, maybe, I don't know exactly what.
SFH2.
Yeah, there's a home right
But
here.
let's
Isn't there?
just go to it.
Okay. I thought you were talking about these side yards.
Can you scroll down a little bit so you can see the, see, this is the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm
This-
talking about
this
location. So
This
you're
view would
talking
be
about
here,
here.
on that one,
Okay.
yeah,
I think there's a house here. You're not going to see that.
We're almost
yeah.
there.
Let's make sure. Okay. No? No.
Floor plan.
That's floor plan A.
A.
That one,
There it
there you
is,
go.
yeah.
See the upper left, the upper corner there?
Left
Upper
view.
right.
How visible would that elevation be going north on Cushman?
However, this and Ann can correct me if I'm
Left
wrong,
view.
but this is not going to be along Cushman. This is going to be along the back of Bellotto. Yeah, this has the garage in front. So the ones that have the garage in front will not be along Cushman. The ones that have the
Okay, I
garage.
thought that was the B, or, okay.
Yeah, that
Okay,
is.
So it would be floor plan A then?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, let's go to floor
Yeah,
plan
let's
A.
go to floor plan A.
And look up
I-
upper right-hand corner.
Actually,
Left view.
not even this one. Let me take you exactly to it, because this one also has a garage in the front. I will tell you, if I may, Commissioner Huboy, it is actually floor plan B of SF. It is floor plan B, but it's of
That would be the one in the lower left-hand corner.
this one here.
That
Yeah.
elevation.
So it's this elevation
That's
here.
the front, but that's the front. But the one on
Mhm.
the lower left-hand corner would,
So
To
the
the left.
would
the
have
left
some
view.
visibility from Cushman.
Yeah, so those are going to be the visibilities from Cushman. It's going to be going north. You'll see the right view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this will be the visibility. You let us know, Commissioner Huboy. We do have a condition that indicates that prior to building permit issuance, that the applicant meets the requirement of the ordinance 17.04 for residential development standards that do not allow for blank walls or to be in the public view. And if you and yes, it has two windows, but if you would like for these to be a little bit more to have a little bit more aesthetic view, you let us know. We can add that to a condition.
Yeah, if it's visible, I mean, if like I say, if those units, one of those units are right next to each other, I can
Yes.
understand why you may have some unarticulated walls without windows.
Yes.
And I don't have any problem with that. But if it's visible from the public view, I'd like to see a little bit more articulation on some
Okay.
of those elevations that
You
are
got it.
visible. Make sure that they're, they have, you can add windows, there's bedrooms on those sides, so.
We'll make sure
That's
to.
that's been pretty much my only concern.
Very well, Commissioner Huboy. If that is part of the motion, we'll be more than happy to make sure that, if approved,
Yes,
to incorporate that as when we get the plans.
right. It's not a major change either. Okay.
Okay, I want to bring up a discussion for all four of us. It's mixed use. And of course, the use is beautifully mixed on the residential. What I'm concerned with is they maintain some commercial component on that lot, which only leaves the gold gym and then the other corner where the drive-through Java thing is. So I wanted to know what you guys thought, if you wanted to make a suggestion, or I don't know if we can condition it, but I really want to see the commercial component on that Nash Road side, because to make it a true mixed use. And if he doesn't know what he's doing with that building, is he going to come back with more residential? So that'll be a question for the applicant, because I want to see that full-on mixed use for that. And then, as I said, then I'd like David to address Ranchos Drive, if there's any plans that the city has for that.
Okay, so Rancho Drive is, intersects with Tres Pinos Road as a T going off to the north.
Let her put up the site plan so everybody can see it.
Which Would you like to see a Google Earth image or the site plan instead?
The site plan, that's going to show the Gold's Gym rear and where it lines up with Rancho.
Right there.
So you have to go more. You
Okay,
gotta go still more north.
No, I think that's the best you can do. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Good.
So the plan for the Tres Pinos Rancho Nash intersection, as you can see, Tres Pinos and Nash go on either side of that road, is currently to either signalize that intersection or put a roundabout in. The Complete Streets project that was recently approved and adopted by the City Council, it's actually been a couple of years now, shows a roundabout being put there. And now part of the access for the roundabout is, goes into the Gold's Gym area or that commercial area. As I look at this, it is most likely possible that the roundabout could be constructed in the current configuration with Gold's Gym. They may lose some. They may lose some property right in this area where the roundabout would be, but it is possible that it could potentially be put in. It all depends on the design of the roundabout. So it is still there. It's still identified as a potential project, and when warrants are met and we have the appropriate right of way, and City Council directs, we can start the planning and design process for that roundabout.
But that's in lieu of a signal.
The roundabout is in lieu of the signal. That's correct. If for some reason we cannot put a roundabout in because of right-of-way constraints or some other, then we'd have to default back to the signal.
Here's my concern with the roundabout. I already gave it some thought. Roundabouts don't stop. They slow down, but they don't stop.
Exactly.
So now you have this development that's completely fenced off the residential from Nash Road. The only area that the residential, all those units can exit off of Cushman. So you got a roundabout that never stops, and you got a lot of people teed up at Cushman. How's that going to work? Because the roundabout doesn't stop. So does the traffic ever stop for somebody to make a left turn on Cushman? I just don't like to see all those homes going to one street and then it doesn't have a light over there that it's been needed already for many years.
Okay, so my recommendation for the people that are waiting at Cushman and Nash, after a roundabout is installed at that intersection, would make a right turn. You make a right turn, you go around the roundabout, and then you end up going west on Nash Road. You made your left turn. You're not having to wait, many minutes before a gap to be created. In fact, once a roundabout is put in, it provides a much safer access for pedestrians, because pedestrians are no longer having to go across a 40 or 50 foot road. They're actually going across one of the legs of the roundabout, but they're doing it before the actual circle does. And they're only having to cross half the road, because where they cross is a raised median. So all they have to do, pedestrian has to do, is make look left. When there's a break, they can, and they feel comfortable, they can cross, looking to the left, get to a safety zone, look to the right, cross when there's a break. And you're not having to wait like you do now at Cushman. You're not having to wait until there's a break on both ways. Right. So actually, there would be a potential for a much easier crossing there. In fact, one of the solutions would be to prohibit crossing at Cushman. It's also for vehicles. It's a potential, and this is all part of the design that would have to be looked at, would be to force cars to make a right turn on the Nash. Right. They can make a right turn, go around the circle, and they made their left. And that way, you're not having to delay vehicles because there's so many cars waiting to
I think
make
the
the
only
left.
way that's going to work is if you prohibit the left turn onto Nash Road.
And those are design considerations that would occur at that location. We would also most likely try and prohibit pedestrian crossings at Cushman as well, because then it's really not that far to get to the roundabout at Rancho, and so they'd be able to cross much easier, and they're still going the same direction.
So it's not set in stone, though, that there wouldn't be a light at Cushman, right? It's still going to be discussed. I think it's just a good midway point between Ladd Lane and San Benito Street. I think Cushman is a really good mid point there to put another light in.
If there is a roundabout installed at Rancho, there would not be a light installed at Cushman.
Okay, right. But the city's, is it your opinion the city's leaning more towards the roundabout, or would they consider a stoplight?
Right now, with the Complete Streets program that's been adopted we would be looking at a roundabout. As I said, a fallback position would be to go to a traffic signal if we could not make that.
For the right of way.
In the interest of pedestrian safety and most likely the children's safety as they're going back and forth to Rancho, I would probably recommend that the signal light be actually placed at Rancho as opposed to Cushman. That will make it easier for people to get across Tres Pinos Road with pedestrian crossing signals as opposed to trying to cross at an unsignalized intersection at Cushman.
Well, I mean, a signal would slow down Cushman and Nash, even if it was at Rancho.
The signal would create breaks in the traffic.
Right.
And
it'll stack up. Like you said, it's not very far.
Right.
So then it'll stop and the intersection will be clear if you were to signalize Rancho.
Right.
It would slow it down, and it would possibly be clear.
There would potentially be breaks in the traffic at Cushman.
All right. So it's out of our hands. It's what the city's going to decide. It's not really a planning commission level thing.
Yeah.
We hear what you've said.
Right now, the project before you, they'll be paying traffic impact fees, and they're also I believe conditioned to pay their pro rata share into either the signal or the roundabout as well. So they will be contributing to that signal. And when the commercial component goes, and right now we're not evaluating the commercial component, and therefore we can't place conditions on it. But when the commercial component goes, then at that point in time we would have a little bit more of an influence on when that intersection is built.
Did I miss the open space areas that I didn't see? Is there any?
On the project site?
Yeah.
Madam Chair, the
Common spaces.
the common space
Yeah,
areas
yards.
are going to be and I can and we can show you on
Okay.
on the it is a neighborhood mixed use, and the neighborhood mixed use, because of the density requirements, there isn't a specific number, as in, like, for example, single family medium density residential or high density residential that requires 500 square feet per each unit. Because this is the highest density that we have in our zoning, we don't have a minimum. However, they are going to have a swimming pool in the apartments. Each unit is going to have private open space. The common is going to be a swimming pool in the apartments, and on the townhomes, there will be a common area along the townhomes as well of open space with various trees, and on each home will have its landscaped area as well.
And part of the private space requirement can be the balconies, right, for the townhomes?
Yeah, the private open space would be, for example, patios, balconies, each with no less than 64 square feet. So it can be a usable open space. And on the small lots, a minimum of 100 square feet of private open space, which they meet and exceed.
You said there is some common space, though, within the townhomes?
Within the townhomes, the common space is essentially just the area that's where the townhomes are fronting one another. That's correct. And then just on the edges, on the east and west of the townhome area.
Okay. Now, speaking of the neighborhood mixed-use zoning designation,
Yes.
can you comment on the requirements for commercial infusion within that? What are the requirements, if any?
Yeah, so the essential mixed use in the general plan is to have commercial on the bottom, residential on top. However, there's also the option of having the commercial and residential side by side, as we are seeing in this proposal with the existing commercial and the proposed residential. And also, we have in the past incorporated where if the zoning area is mixed use, then we can allow for only one of a kind, either all residential or all commercial development to come in, and then the city will analyze to a point where if on that area is we have already the more than its fair share of the residential, for example, then we would not allow for any more residential and just allow for commercial to come. A similar example would be on San Juan Road, previously San Juan Road, now called 4th Street, where we have the 80 units that are being built, and that's half of it. Your commission indicated that the other half would be reserved for future commercial on that site, and no residential.
I closed the public hearing, didn't I? Did I close it? Al, did you want to comment on the commercial part or no? I'm going to reopen the public hearing again because I wanted to ask him that and I closed it too soon at 6:48. I just wondered, do you know what you're going to do with the other two lots?
I think the biggest thing is right now is the city hasn't decided what they're going to do on Cushman, which would really help our applicants. We are working with several different tenants right now, people that are interested in doing commercial. But the one thing we can tell you is it is commercial now, and it's going to stay commercial. We're not going for any residential.
You're not going to add more residential.
So we achieve the true mixed use. So
Awesome.
we've basically tried to conform it to everything that staff has recommended. And
Okay. Thank you.
anything else?
That's what I wanted to know. I didn't need to know what you're going to do. I just wanted to know the nature of it.
Yeah, and I
So,
mean,
that's fine.
As you've heard tonight, I mean,
Yeah.
we if the city doesn't know if they're going to put a stoplight there
Yeah.
or a roundabout
Right.
yet, it's impossible for us
I
to design
understand.
something. So
I just wanted to know if it would be commercial.
Okay.
That'll be up to you, whatever you propose. But it makes sense because commercial's across the street. Okay,
anything else?
now that's all I wanted.
Thank you very
Anybody?
much.
Okay. Okay, so again, we'll close the public hearing at 6:49. Now, bring it back to commission. Is there any more questions or comments?
Pretty straightforward.
No, it looks great.
Okay, I want to compliment the applicant and the engineer for putting that R1 to R1, the single family to single family. I think you did great there. I know the people on Vallado were very concerned with that, and I was too, because I don't like towering buildings looking down into people's backyards. So good job there. I love the apartments because we need them, and hardly anybody builds those. So you're the man. So I just wanted to say I really likes the mix. I like what you did to ease it on the neighborhood, on the Cushman side and the Vallado side. So I wanted to compliment you on that design as well, Ann. And that's all. And Chair will entertain a motion. That'll be on the first resolution for the conditional use permit. Are we good to go?
That's
So
correct.
we'll need a resolution number. I believe we have no amendments to that one.
Correct.
But we need a number.
11.
Okay, 11. So there you guys go, whoever wants to do that.
Gabriel?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve conditional use permit for planned unit development 2017-3. PC Resolution 2017-11 as presented.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Then second motion would be for approval of tentative map 2016-5, PC Resolution 2017-12 as presented by staff.
With amendments?
With the amendments,
With the amendments proposed.
Yes, there was,
There were
yeah. Let me
1,
get to
2,
there.
3,
With 31 and 32 being amended,
35,
35 being amended to state Cushman Street,
63.
63 is amended as what we read. It was very lengthy. It's right there. I
Addition
think
to-
everybody saw it.
Addition to 65.
Addition of 65.
Is that your intention?
Second.
We have a motion and a second with amendments.
Well, there was, excuse me,
2017.
Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead.
There are also from 30 to 37 about the
you're-
stormwater.
was this
That-
one?
that's
No,
for the
on next
resolution.
Is that on the next one?
Yes.
Oh, okay, excuse me.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second with the amendments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Final one will be to approve Site and Architectural Review 2016-13, PC Resolution 2017-13, with the amendments, the removal of the duplicate conditions 30 through 37.
Second.
We have a motion and a second with the amendments on PC 2017-13 for the site and architectural. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Congratulations and good luck on your project, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's going to be a nice addition to our city. All righty. Get my agenda here. Okay, so the next public hearing, we have conditional use permit 2017-2 for Marcy Houston. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to convert an existing single-family home located at 364 7th Street into a business for the sale of plants and to provide educational classes. The site is located in the downtown commercial and mixed-use zoning district. It's within the Monterey Historic District, and the sequel on it is categorically exempt. May we have the staff report, please?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. As you explained, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to convert an existing single-family home into a business to allow for a retail garden center that would sell pottery, gift items, and plants to provide educational classes, and it's located in the downtown mixed-use zoning district. The hours of operation that are being proposed would be from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Sunday. The use would be proposing a total of 2 employees. The lot measures 5,880 square feet, and the home measures 1,250 square feet. The site plan illustrates a front yard with, as shown above, with an ADA ramp from a new walkway that goes up to the new landing to the existing front porch. There will also be a new ADA ramp at the rear of the home from the rear yard, which will be used for the display of the plants, to a new landing into an existing enclosed back porch. The floor plan illustrates 2 rooms for educational classes, 3 rooms for retail display of the plants, 1 restroom, and a kitchen. The rear yard will be used for the display of the plants. The applicant will apply to the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control for a beer and wine excuse me, license to be able to sell and serve alcoholic beverages on the premises. Also, as part of the application for the conditional use permit 2017-2, the applicant is seeking approval to have events in the property outside of the garden mart hours, such as to allow people from the funeral home across the street to gather at the site as well.
Thank you, Maria. Currently, Section 1718.060 of the Hollister Municipal Code requires that plants, nurseries, to include 1 parking space for each 300 square foot of display area. And so the display area would require a total of 4 parking spaces for the property. The property owner, on your staff report, indicates that was seeking reciprocal parking agreement with K&S, the parking lot more towards the east of the site. However, at this time, since the release of the staff reports, the applicant has actually indicated that in part of her collaboration with John Sanders, the funeral home across the street, for the possibility of having events on the property, the project site, there is a collaboration of a potential parking for the funeral home, for the events, and for the site overall. There is, I believe, 21 parking spaces off-site on the funeral home. One of the points of discussion that staff had with the applicant was what is the where are the people going to park if, for example, there is a service at the funeral home and you as the applicant want to have an event. And one of the response was that normally at the funeral home there are services scheduled at least a week, possibly 2 weeks in advance, and so the applicant would make sure that there is no event that she would coordinate when there is a service at the funeral home. The other part was classrooms for educational purposes on the proposed land use for plants and pottery and so forth. And the question was, how often are the classes? And the response was, the goal is to have at least, hopefully, once per month. So they're not that often. Previously, they've been 3 times a year, I believe. The applicant's here, she can clarify. And so that doesn't appear to be a big issue for that. So let's see, just want to make sure that's all covered. So as part of the conditions of approval, we do have that prior to occupancy, that the applicant obtains a reciprocal parking agreement. As you can see in your resolution, condition number 40, it says prior to final occupancy, 4 vehicle spaces shall be provided either on site or obtained through a reciprocal parking agreement with the neighboring property. And we would like to add, it just because it's in the House Municipal Code actually encourages reciprocal parking agreement, especially if the uses hours of operation are not at the same time. It encourages to avoid more parking, more pavement. So we just want to add, in compliance with section 1708.030 of the Hollister Municipal Code, which reads, the use of recorded reciprocal parking agreement is encouraged to reduce overall paving requirements if compatible hours of operation or types of use can be proven. Dual use of underutilized seasonal parking areas in commercial centers for plazas, courtyards, outdoor eating shall be considered during the design review. Of course, we won't add all this to the condition. We'll just indicate in compliance with section 1708.030 of the Hollister Municipal Code. And finally, we have conditions 24 and 25 of the resolution, which indicate that the applicant should pay into
I saw that.
Community Facilities District number 2 and 4. When the resolution went out, we had not confirmed yet if the subject property would be required to annex into these Community Facilities District to pay extra on the property taxes for these services. Because the home is existing and all they're doing is basically converting it from the home to a business, we had the confirmation today that these would not apply, so we would ask respectfully to remove conditions 24 and 25 from the draft
I was
resolution.
wondering what those were doing in there.
Yeah.
I almost, thank you for catching it, because
Sure.
I was going to say, what are those doing there?
Sure, absolutely. And with that, Madam Chair and Planning Commission, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider approving conditional use permit number 2017-2, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
Anybody?
All the neighbors have been noticed?
That is correct, Commissioner Alvarez. We made sure that the public notice went out in the newspaper and also within 300 feet of the project site for notification of the conditional use permit.
Okay, having no comments or more questions, we'll open the public hearing at 7:02. Do you have any speaker cards?
We do not have any speaker cards for this item, Madam Chair, nor, but the applicant is in the audience in case.
Do you want to speak, Marcy? We care. Do you have any questions of us? Okay, you were in agreement with the conditions? Yes. Okay. Well, we're gonna close the public hearing at 7:02 and bring it back to commission level for any comments, questions, or motion on next resolution number 2017 dash. What was your last one?
What's that, QC?
This will be 14.
14. So we have a resolution 2017-4 with a couple of amendments there. Deletion of those two conditions, as well as the addition to that last condition, number 40.
If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Okay, with the changes?
Yes. So I move that we...
You know what, I'm sorry. I have to, I don't know, I kind of have a concern about the alcohol in the neighborhood. You know, funerals are very emotional. If you can convince me that, you know, that it'll be, you know, some kind of, you know. Yes, please.
Yes, we'll reopen the public hearing at 7:03. Marcy will come up.
I'm not a bar. It's not a bar. If you can, I'll paint a picture for you. It's a very high-end boutique plant store. We'll have a beer and wine garden, and one of the rooms inside the house will be a 21 and older. I've been talking to the ABC for months, so it's very regulated. And not only did you send out your notices for the neighbors, but they will too. And like, I'm not serving Budweiser. My intent is not for people to go there for happy hour.
It's associated.
My intent is for people to go have a couple glasses of wine, get relaxed, buy some plants, and go on their way. It's not a bar.
It's ancillary to your use.
Because that would totally stress me out. So I'd like to take you there. You need to see it. It's going to be a garden. I get my 6 foot of fence with trellis. It's going to be a garden, and there's only sections of it that are 21 and older. And according to the ABC, that's always, once that area is designated 21 and older, it is 21 and older. The funeral home actually gave me the idea of having the events, and my idea there, and I'm still waiting for an occupancy number, but people always want to go somewhere and grieve, and so they could literally rent out the house for a service. I have a kitchen. I've already talked to environmental health. People can bring in their own food. I don't need a permit for that. I'm not cooking anything. We will serve beverages, which would include water, whatever, sodas. The section for the alcohol is it's sectioned off. It's not the whole property. It's not the front yard. It's the back property against the alley. It would actually be a perfect use for a funeral home. The thing is, my hours are 10 to 6. So I'm only open from 10 to 6. Anything at night would be a rented facility use. I don't see any ragers there. I mean, it's...
you never do. I'm just concerned, again...
They will have the opportunity...
I know.
I just know after anybody in my family died, we always wanted to go somewhere until they get hammered. That's not going to happen here because I'm having high-end wine and imported beer. So there's not going to be any kids going in there that think they can go get a cheap buzz. It's going to be very classy. Again, the funeral home will actually have the option of saying no, because the ABC also sends out, and they have stricter requirements for alcohol use within certain areas of buildings, and I think it's 100 feet or something of property. So I completely understand what you're saying, but I've talked to the police chief too, and there's noise requirements. There's not going to be any bans. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. It's up to you.
No, when you said food, I was going, hoping that you would offer some.
I can't.
That they could bring in their own food, because that's, if they're going to be drinking, just an appetizer or
right.
something like that.
So
that was a,
So there's 3 different kinds of licenses. I could have turned the whole place into a bar, which I didn't want to do because I want the kids there. I could have turned my kitchen into a commercial kitchen and had a menu, which is cost prohibitive, and I don't cook. Or I could have a section of the place be turned into 21 and older. And so I literally have been, the lady's name's Marilyn. She's very accommodating at the ABC in Salinas. So I've been working closely with her. She already has my design. And again, it'll go out to the neighbors. But people say you wanted to have a bridal shower or something. You could rent the place.
That'd be nice.
Bring in your own food. Whether you want a beer or wine or not is up to you. But the people would still have to be, if you're drinking a glass of wine or a beer, you still would have to be in one of the rooms or in the sectioned off backyard. So it's not free range of the whole property. It's very regulated what they're requiring of me.
okay. No, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I just wanted to.
Right.
I have to bring that
no,
up.
I completely
I
understand.
grew up around, the Fadas live right there. So, I know the family, and if
Yeah,
they,
so do I.
Yeah. If they.
She'll have an opportunity to, her kids could either come over and join, or she'll have the opportunity to say, I don't want it. And the ABC has basically said we've never had a permit denied because of somebody not wanting alcohol. They may put a limit and say, Mars, you can't be in the backyard drinking booze at 8 o'clock, after 8 at night or whatever. They put, or maybe it's 6 o'clock. So they're the ones that also do the checking.
Okay. I just had to bring up my concern. That's
No,
my
it's
job.
okay. I understand it. You don't
All
want
right.
ragers when people are dying.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Marcy.
Okay.
We'll reclose the public hearing at 7:09. Bring it back to commission level. We have a resolution on the table.
I started a motion. Is there any other discussion? I move that we adopt PC Resolution 2017-14 and delete condition number 24 and 25 and approve the conditional use permit 2017-2 with the subject draft conditions.
With the amendment of 40.
With the amendment of 40.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for 2017-14 for Marcy's conditional use permit 2017-2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. Congratulations, Marcy. You're sure to be a great addition to the downtown. I'm glad you're going to be there. We'll see you over there. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay. Let's see what else we got. All right. Okay, we have any new business?
No new
No
business.
new business. It would be on there. Any old business? I guess not. It's not on there. Planning Commission reports.
We just want to mention, Madam Chair Lenore, that at the last item where it says next regular meeting, Wednesday, June 21st, 2017. Normally, as you know, on June, we move the Planning Commission from the fourth Thursday of the month to the fourth Wednesday of the month because of the Saddle Horse Parade. But it is my understanding, and Bill, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, that it will not happen this year. So we're going to keep the Planning Commission on Thursday, the June 22nd, instead of June 21st, as stated on your agenda.
The only comment is that if we'd already published the June date, then we may want to stick to that if we had a calendar. It's up to you folks.
I will not be there. I will not be in town Tuesday, Wednesday, June 20th. But I will be here on the 21st.
On Thursday?
So if you could do without me, that's fine. But I am stating that I won't be here Wednesday. Whatever you decide is fine with me. If I can come, I will. If you pick the date I'm not here, I won't be. Make sure you have a quorum. Okay. So we'll wait to hear from you on that item. Does it matter to you guys? Be flexible on Wednesday or Thursday? Okay. That was a planning department report, actually, but
Yes.
planning commission report. Anybody has planning commission reports?
I guess we should mention the joint meeting, and we're going to have another one at San Juan Bautista City Hall. I'm not sure what the time is,
They didn't state.
but I thought the joint meeting went well.
It went lengthy. That's because I have a problem gaveling anybody quiet. And I know that it went lengthy. I want to tell you that maybe, I don't know, we got off track a little with potholes and overgrown pedestrian bike pathways. But I figured when you invite somebody to a meeting and they want to say something that's important to their community, I let them say it. And yeah, there was a comment at the end that it got a little bit hairy-carry, but when you're talking affordable housing and you're talking infrastructure, they kind of meet sometime. It's hard to just separate each item because sometimes they relate to each other. But I still was happy with it was a little long, maybe a couple of items. Maybe we can't do all those, but this is what they asked to bring back, Soren. They asked us to ask the council or see what you guys feel about us meeting again on the affordable housing as an ad hoc committee. For affordable housing, because as it was noted by Commissioner Pierce, we're all in non-compliance of the affordable housing requirements. So I specifically then will want to speak about, and I also want to know your ideas, is our housing element, because it's all spelled out. Yeah, we're all in non-compliance, but I think the city is working more diligently on it than they ever have been. So again, the request is to form an ad hoc committee with 1 or 2 people from each entity. Is that what you remember hearing? 1 or 2 people from each entity to discuss the issue of affordable housing.
If I can ask, because I didn't stay for that part of the meeting, when Commissioner Pierce made the statement that the city of Hollister was out of compliance.
We all are.
Okay.
All, not just
well,
us.
Right. The only thing we can control is us. But I'm wondering, what evidence or what was he using to make that statement?
He's using the fact that maybe we know that we have a lacking in the low income. We know we have a lacking in the low income. Obviously, we have no lacking in the high income. That's an overabundance. So I think that's what he's talking about is we still have targeted numbers that we have to work at. That's the last I read in the housing element, right? Spells it all out in the numbers.
Again, when you adopt the housing element,
right,
and you get that housing element certified, that is a plan. That is a table-setting device that you are trying to accomplish. Okay,
right.
So the regional, when the RENA numbers come out, this is what you're supposed to set the table for. There aren't production requirements any longer. There was with redevelopment. And what I would say is that when the redevelopment agency existed in the city of Hollister, we were always well beyond our production numbers. We always met our minimums. We always spent our housing set-aside numbers. The provision of housing or in preservation and the creation of new was always there. We had to do annual reports to make sure that we were in compliance. Now that and it's just kind of semantics, but I don't like when people say, or it makes me nervous when people say we're out of compliance.
Right.
The city of Hollister cannot build an affordable housing project. It relies on development to create affordable housing.
Yeah, because we don't have redevelopment anymore.
Well, and the sources at the state that we generally use are becoming harder and harder to get. Commissioner Torres is well aware of the process of going through the tax credit process, which is getting more and more competitive. So, like I said, I just want to be careful when we say we're out of compliance, because you have an adopted housing element, you've set the table for there to be provision of affordable housing. you assist and subsidize houses to be affordable at various levels. That's the only
But
thing.
we're lacking in a couple of levels, seriously lacking.
Well, I would say that we have.
We're not done doing them yet, but there's no timeline?
No.
To when the state says, why haven't you built all those yet?
Well, you have 90 units that are going in right now that meet an affordable housing level. You've created Vista Meadows over the last few years. You've created.
Oh no, I know we've done progress.
Right.
I know that.
But my point is that you have done those things. You continue to do those things. There isn't a magic number where the state says no, you can't. You're continuing to try to implement your housing element as best you can. You said that you can't create them. Your role, or the city council's role, is not to make sure that it happens. It's to allow the provision of it to happen.
Yeah, you
Yes.
set the table for it.
Then what does regional housing numbers mean?
Well,
regional housing numbers, that's always a big deal.
Okay, so the regional, if you'll recall, several years ago, the RENA numbers for the city of Hollister were 3,400 homes over a period of 12 years in which the city of Hollister had a growth management ordinance. And you couldn't get there anyway. So that was one of the constraints that we set. So again, you have a lot of conflicting information out there. What I want to make sure is that you have the services. The city of Hollister has the services. It's provided the opportunity for the affordable housing to be constructed. Whether or not that actually happens is not the responsibility of the Planning Commission nor the City Council.
We laid out the area in the general plan and in the housing element.
You have
we have the infrastructure.
You have a certified housing element, and you have goals, just like you have goals in all your other elements of your general plan, and that's what you're striving for.
I think that what you're saying, Bill, can be addressed at our next joint meeting as a clarification that, yes, we are setting the table for it, but the actual production of it goes beyond what our housing element and what what our purposes and what our responsibilities are. But what he did, he also said, and was intriguing to me, is that what Chairman Pierce said is that he was saying that, and I'm not clear on how this can be done, but his assertion was that by combining with San Juan Bautista and the county, he's thinking that there are advantages of consolidating our efforts to actually produce affordable housing. I'm not sure where.
They're looking for area. My thoughts on that.
Well, again, and you're right, because I think what will happen is that they're going to point at the city or towards the city because the city has a service to provide those things. And in some respects, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But then all you're going to do is fight about, okay, then who gets credit for that production?
Right.
Right. Yeah. So if it's being, again, a classic example with Chispa is it starts in the county and ends up in the city. Who's getting credit for that?
I hope that's not planning. That's council. It's too political.
But it is sort of planning.
Well, it is planning, but the final decision is a very political decision.
And I find it hard to believe that Ray made that comment because Chispa, we do attend a monthly meeting. A bi-monthly meeting that's set up by the Director of Health and Human Services, James Riding-Sword, with stakeholders in the affordable housing industry and a number of county officials. But I've noticed that they have not, and I know he's talking about bringing in the city of San Juan Bautista, but we have yet to see a city of Hollister representative at these meetings, and so I think the county needs to, even amongst their meetings, invite the city into these conversations. And the next meeting that we have, just so folks here in the audience do know, is scheduled for Monday, June 5th at the county's offices. And, from 3 o'clock, it's open, it's publicized meeting. So I think anybody who has issues regarding affordable housing with affordable housing agencies like ourselves will be there. Support agencies as well will be there. And it's a lively discussion in regards to affordable housing. And I think getting a city representative at that meeting, Tricia may be attending that meeting. I'll forward all the pertinent information to city staff. Because again, in my mind, it is impossible to develop affordable housing in the county without the assistance of the city of Hollister, period.
I don't know.
And we don't want to talk about this too much
No,
because
I
it's
know.
not
Yeah.
agendized. But
I know.
what
Okay.
I will
Right.
say is that I would love to have the opportunity, maybe at a future meeting, to kind of share with you the history of the city of Hollister and its production of affordable housing. And I think everybody would be very surprised at the true number of affordable housing units, whether restricted and or assisted at some point in time, that have occurred within the city. Again, you have about 400 homes now, or units, and you'll be very surprised at the number of houses that we've
You'll
actually
do
helped.
that at one of our planning commission meetings?
I can do that for you at a planning
When you
commission
have
meeting.
time, that would be great.
I got loads of time. We'll do it in August.
And then we'll send somebody from staff to the meeting that Gabriel is referencing.
That would be fine.
And then what message are we going to send on the ad hoc committee?
Well, that's on you.
Well, with regards to the ad hoc committee, what you have to be careful about there is Brown Act compliance. If it becomes a regular committee that holds regularly monthly meetings, and also it's probably going to have to be noticed under those circumstances, or if it only involves appointed officials and does not involve third parties that are of the community. So if it's a one-time ad hoc committee that also includes persons from the public at large as members of the ad hoc committee, then in those instances my recommendation would be to proceed, as long as you and under those circumstances you would not be subject to the Brown Act. However,
if we did what? If we included the community as part of the committee?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's a one-time meeting.
And it's a one-time.
Correct.
Because you hear him now, if it's ongoing, there's a lot of legal noticing that has to be done, just like any other public hearing meeting.
That's correct.
What's the pleasure of the commission? Or do you want to think about it? What do you want to do?
You know, I need to weigh in on this. Bill, I hope you're not taking off. Oh, okay, just real quick. You know, Mr. Pierce, he wasn't pointing the fingers at anybody. He was asking if we could work together. Pat Lowe also brought it up, to petition our Congress,
Anna Caballero.
Yes, to see if we could get a special district. It's never been done, but they had talked about it. I think Ms. Pat Lowe and Anna, to include all of us, the three cities. Three entities: Hollister, San Juan, and San Benito County. That if we build, affordable housing, it counts. If they build some, it would count for all of us. That was their kind of, let's see if we can get that done. If we can talk that out. It was just, talking. Again, wasn't any pointing any fingers or wasn't bringing up any.
I wasn't saying that.
Yeah. No, but, he was just trying to, think outside the box and say, hey, and Pat said, well, I had talked to, Anna about this. It's never been done in the state. Just to see, and that's what the ad hoc committee would just to talk it out and see, can this work? Do we want to go forward with this? That's what my take was on the whole thing. So it sounded really.
I forgot
like
about the Anna Caballero function.
That was part of it.
Yeah, like it would be a good idea just to explore between your commissions.
So can we have a one-time thing? And it sounds like Commissioner Alvarez is very interested in that. Would you be willing to take part in that?
Sure.
Did they want one or two? Do you recall?
I think they just said one each, but one and an alternate I think would be a good idea.
Let's start with a one-time meeting, as Soren suggested, and then make the call after that for more regular. See if the county, what comes of that one meeting. Would that be good?
I think that'd be great.
All right, so is everybody in agreement, consensus, that Commissioner Alvarez will represent us on this one-time ad hoc committee for the sake of discussing affordable housing with the county and San Juan Bautista, and this effort that might include Anna Caballero? Does that sound good? What?
I was just, were you going to appoint somebody tonight?
Well, that's what we were going for.
Yeah, I'm not.
Do you want to get? We only meet once a month, and Pat Lowe wants to move it along.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
All right.
If we stepped out of our bounds, then you'll let us know.
Yeah. At this point, I think you can appoint. What you should realize, though, is that there is no agreement to form an ad hoc committee at this point. So, assuming there is one, then you've appointed somebody
Okay.
under those assumptions. So it's not,
That's-
it's something
that's
that needs, so
It's
the ad
not
hoc
set
committee,
yet.
it's
Right.
not set, correct.
The others haven't discussed it yet. We had our meeting
Correct.
right now. Okay.
So at
if-
some point,
if-
what I would recommend is once you get word from the other agencies or other public entities that they've agreed, then at that point in time, we can iron it out even more
Okay.
clear, and that would be at the next meeting.
Mhm.
And I think
Okay.
that's what Billy's referencing to.
Okay, thank
Hey,
you.
hey, we had some great discussion. I had self-admitted I was nervous when I got there, but after I settled in, they were kind, they were gracious, they were polite. Abraham did the job that you would not believe. So proud of Abraham, and the county staff did the best they could for being brand new. Mr. Walgren, he got a lot of questions at him, and he did the best he could being on the job 4 days. So I got to give kudos to Mr. Walgren. And then James, the other gentleman from county, the director from the county planning, his name was James, I believe. He was also there, but it was well worth it. A little bit lengthy, and we'll work on that, but I enjoyed the opportunity, and I believe Chris will be in his turn on the next chair. Okay. Any other
No, I just
reports?
want to,
Yeah.
thank the staff. You guys did a great
Yeah.
job. That the setup was perfect. We were all on the same level.
Yeah.
We were able to talk and go back and forth with each other, and that was, that's how it.
I sent the mayor an email for the good job that staff did, and Abraham had good, sensible answers, don't you think?
Oh yeah, no,
He
we
had
definitely
a
all
forthright,
staff, the
polite,
San Juan
sensible
staff was very
answers,
good. Yeah.
very good stated answers, and I think that they learned a little bit, and certainly I learned, and I really enjoyed Chairman Hopper. He was very interested
Right.
in planning, and
Knowledgeable, right.
I
Oh, yeah.
really like him,
Mhm.
but they were also very good. So
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Planning Commission reports? Okay, well, I adjourn the meeting at 7:29.